Hi there, you guys, and welcome back to our little Old Masters for Young Players series. We are on Rondeau today by Giovanni Battista Bononcini. What a great name. I love that name. For those of you on Patreon, there's a little picture with all the scribbles I have for you, and also the link to the imslp. And for those of you that are watching it on YouTube, hello, you're just watching it a little bit later. And there is a link to the etude in the YouTube description as well for you. So these are really sweet little pieces that are meant to be played with piano as well. So just a reminder that you still need to go find a pianist friend. Let me know if you found one. And today, this is going to be two parts. So today we're going to just look at the first 4 lines, and then next time we'll reconvene with the second half. So starting kind of the end of the 4th line to the end. So a rondo, I'm pretty sure, harkens back to the medieval time period, and it even goes back to poetry. And you know, music and poetry, they go hand in hand. So a lot of the sentence structure that we have in music, it just comes from the sentence structure of words and poem, meter, and all that kind of thing. So in the rondo, there's this idea of repetition. So you can kind of think like in poetry, sometimes you have certain verses that are repeated. So anyway, the rondo. Let's give this a little try. There's 2 sharps. There's an F sharp. There's a C sharp. It's in 3/4. If we just give it a really quick scan, those first 4 lines, you're going to see mezzo forte for the first dynamic. And then when our little theme repeats again, it appears piano. And then we've got a slightly different section in the middle of line 3 that starts with the piano. It's coming from forte, so we're going to diminuendo there, and we end piano. So we got a couple dynamics to contend with, but in 3/4, remember that beat 1 is going to be our strongest beat. So let me give it a try for you, and then we'll take a closer look. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. So I think that kind of makes sense for us to stop there. Let's go ahead and stop there. That way we have what's called the A section and the B section. And then when we look at it again next week, we can start again with the A section, kind of where we left off. The A section begins again. So what do I mean by A section and B section? So for those of you on Patreon, I've kind of outlined this and popped in some fingerings and alternative bowings and things. But for all of us, the beginning section, the A section, we're going to call this. So here's from the top. And then it does it again, but it's slightly different at the end. So I've just called this A1. So it's still the A, but slightly different at the end. This is the piano part in line 2. Here's where it starts to change. Okay, so A section and then A1. The A section is mezzo forte. The A1 section is piano and slightly different at the end. So now we're going to encounter the B section. So something we haven't heard yet. Here's the B section where the piano is in line 3. And then right after that, see if you recognize this. Is this A or is this A1? Listen to the end. that would be A1, although I think we're going to pick that piece up next time. But anyway, that way you can kind of see we've got some repetition going on. So the first thing I just want to pop in for you is the fingering option. So in line 2, instead of doing the bowing, or no, the fingering that's written there, in line 2, the first measure, line 2, first measure, it has this printed. And there's this kind of awkward string crossing there in this kind of notey section. So, oops. It's got like 3, I think, bow changes there, or string crossings. It's just too many. So if you can, start that measure in second position. We all love second position so much. Shift up a whole step with your first finger. And your arm, just like a trombone player, should start to learn those distances of whole steps and half steps. Okay, so shift up a whole step. This is B. This would be your C sharp here. So instead, you can do it all in one string. And then you would just come back down. Isn't that better? So that's one of the reasons why one might shift up into a different position or use a position like second position. Just get around those string crossings. Versus. It's too much. So fingering option for you. The second thing I think maybe we can go over is just the articulation. So there's dots over all of those notes, and I think that the overall dynamic, since it's mezzo, forte, piano, you should kind of do a spiccato-ish stroke, so it's like off, but don't bounce too high because of the dynamic. So instead of doing, try and keep it a little closer, the bounce. And that kind of articulation, we kind of tend to think more of like a brush stroke. So you're just kind of brushing the string rather than kind of percussively bouncing on the string like spiccato can tend to have. Sometimes that will happen more in the eighth note sections. But if you keep the bounce tight, it's too bouncy, would be kind of a little bit better articulation. So just make sure that you're getting a little more hair on the string and that your bounce is tighter and not too bouncy. That way you get more of a brush stroke. Any other little things to say? See if you can pay attention to the dynamics when you do the forte, for example. Just use more bow. So I'm going to start at the end of the second line where the crescendo is, and this is in piano going to forte. Maybe it's up bow. It's tricky. It's actually tricky for me to do. Partly because I don't know what bowing I'm starting. It's an up bow. So you can kind of use a little bit more bow as you get towards that. You'll kind of get to the forte, but there is a very quick diminuendo to piano after that. However, try to not get to the tip of the bow. Try not to hang out here, because then you can't do the kind of brush stroke. So try, instead of going to the tip of the bow to get the piano, try to move the bow to the fingerboard and decrease the bow speed. So if we start to slow down and use less bow, it just also becomes quieter. And that way, you're right where you need to be in the bow. So I think with that, you guys, I hope you enjoy this one. Take a look into what a rondo is if you want. Do a little studying. And I will see you next time where we start with the second half. Enjoy.